happiness resides on the cross section of growth and gratitude. So if
Mm.
you're not growing and you don't have tremendous gratitude for what you've been lucky enough to get, you're probably somewhat miserable, or you're in a you're having a little short-term happiness, which is fine. But real happiness when you're challenged, you're growing. You know, it's an old expression, just because you were born in third base doesn't mean you hit a triple. And it's very similar with athletes. It's like, just because you got this $100 million contract, listen, the contract is not your destination, it's your transportation. You're not put on this earth because you can dunk the ball, shoot a bunch of threes, and that's what God's plan was for you. But you can use this platform to do what you really set out to do, which hopefully will be to be a great player, but also to make a difference with the popularity you have, the money you have. And in order to do that, there's a process of building a brand, building trust with your audience, and not just be a money grabber. And listen, we go through the same thing with our kids. If you grow up in a relatively wealthy house, like my kids did, I tell my kids all the time, it's like, listen, I'm here to share this with you, but this isn't yours. This is my party. You're invited, but don't be confused. If you want to have a life like this, you're going to have to earn it. And I'm going to show you. I never deny that we have a lot of money. I don't deny. When I talk to athletes, you have a lot of money. What are you going to do with it? What difference and what impact are you going to make? And that's what I would say to my kids. Like, what life do you want to live? What impact are you going to have? I don't say, oh, we really don't have that much money. You know how hard I had it when I was a kid, because the kids don't want to hear it. But I do say is that you got to decide what kind of effort and earning your keep in this planet to make a difference, live a life that you're comfortable with, so that you don't waste this childhood or waste your time away, but it's only here for a short time. And I think my kids picked up. They see the work ethic, because a lot of times people think they work really hard one day so they don't have to. But the truth of the matter is, you work really hard one day so you can be great at something, so you can have choices. You can decide what you want to do, what you don't want to do. And that's the real joy in life. Happiness resides on the cross section of growth and gratitude. So if you're not growing and you don't have tremendous gratitude for what you've been lucky enough to get, you're probably somewhat miserable, or you're in a you're having a little short-term happiness, which is fine. But real happiness when you're challenged, you're growing, and also you're incredibly grateful for all the things which you can go on that you have. And I've tried to show that to my employees, you know, to be grateful for every customer when they call, because they have a lot of choices. I try to show that to my kids when when they're raised, that, hey, look at me, I'm growing. Yeah, we have a lot of money, but I'm still growing. I'm still going after it. I'm still killing it. And I think it's contagious. I think you are a little bit about the people around you. So you have to think about the kind of, as a leader, you're thinking about what you're representing. You're thinking about what kind of example you're setting in every way, because the people, they're watching you.
Yeah.
You know, your staff, your kids, they're watching you.
Kids, for sure.
Yeah.
I was just having this conversation with my son a couple of days ago about this whole idea of happiness. And I love this idea. Then I'm going to bring this to him too as well. The happiness is the cross section of growth and gratitude, because I was saying to him, I don't actually think the purpose of life is to be happy, but is to contribute. And when you're having growth, you're contributing to something, you're having gratitude. I really like that idea. And I wonder.
Well, if you want to realize about the happiness part, there's the growth and gratitude, but really there's only two reasons why we're here. You want to get into that part, and it's very clear. There's only two reasons why we're here. One is to help others. You know, very clearly, you know, if you're, helping other people is not a burden, it's a joy. It'll lead you to sheer happiness and then growing. So like if you look at all the species on the planet, and there are many of them, ants, bugs, cows, bears, eagles, birds, fish, dogs, cats, none of them, I mean zero, can adjust, get better. You're not going to ever wake up, go down to your living room, your dog will fed itself, walked itself, read the New York Times. It's never going to happen. Like, none of these species can adjust. You look at what humans and the amount of adjusting we've done just in the lives that we're living right now. Just look what happened during the virus. You know, all those other species can never have adjusted to adverse conditions, whatever. So if you think about why you're here, to help people and to grow and to get better, if you're not helping somebody relatively often, and you're not really growing and taking advantage of the adjustments that you need to make to be a better person, to make an impact in the world, why are you here? Besides the fact of the lottery that you've actually figured out how to be on this planet, the chances of you being on this planet is so minimal, right? I mean, and then to be on this side of the planet, in this country is a lottery ticket when you think about it.
Yeah.
So when you really think about that way, and there's an underlying tone of gratitude here, but I mean, if you're not growing, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, you know, you're missing the whole opportunity of being on this planet. And then the joy really comes from, you know, when you go help somebody selflessly, whatever the amount of money, whether it's $1, 10, or just giving up a couple hours of your time. And you know, you're not, I always say, what would you do for someone that you knew would do nothing back and never give you anything back? What would you do? But the truth of the matter is, the answer on that is, if you do it and you do try to do it, there's nothing you will enjoy and feel better about doing than that. I love when I give completely selflessly. That person doesn't even know I gave it to them, or I'm never getting anything back. I may even see that person again, but I know I did something good, help somebody along, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
And I try to do it as often as I can.
Well, let's take a little bit, and I appreciate all that because that is so true. I love those words of wisdom. I want to shift to your books because, first of all, your first book, and I think it was your first book. The first book that I've listed there is "You've Got to Have Balls," is such a great title and so catchy. And you have 3 books out there that you share your wisdom and education with. In your book, first of all, why did you decide to write a book? Because I think this is a challenge a lot of people have is, oh, I'm going to write a book someday, and you've written 3. Why did you decide to write a book?
And I'm writing the 4th. I'll get to it in a second. First of
Nice.
all, the first book was the business playbook. I wrote the business playbook for every young entrepreneur, particularly kids in high school, college, that think, oh, I'll get to it. I'll worry about it when I graduate. No. You could be building brands, building relationships. And I give them a very simple nuggets, how to get started early in age as you want. If you're in your 20s, you're stuck, and you really want to kind of get a lift, kind of maybe get your own brand and your own thing going. And it doesn't mean starting your own company. You can build your own brand and start developing a lot of different things, entrepreneurship-wise, in a big company. You just have to put certain things together. Yeah. What happened is, when I graduated college, and I've been working for 10 years already, I couldn't get a job. And I said, when I figure this crap out, I said, I don't feel like I'm fully prepared. I'm going to write a book about it, which is odd because I couldn't get a job and I'm ready to think about writing my first book. So the book didn't happen.
The true entrepreneur, by the way.
The book happened 20 years later. Now, You Got to Have Balls was, you know, Steiner was a big success. Every time my wife and I went somewhere, it'd be like 5, 6 people coming up constantly. How'd you do this? How'd you do that? And my wife was like, you know, I hate going out to these parties with you, whatever. It's annoying. I said, you know, so I'm going to write a book. Somebody walks up to me. I can explain how I built Steiner from $4,000 to a $50 million company, and blah, blah, blah. And my mother's line was, you got to have balls, by the way. Yeah. That was her favorite line. Be relentless. Don't stop. Be creative. Don't stop at success. If you dream it, do it. Put it into play. And my mother was a crazy dreamer and a really smart businesswoman, which was a rarity back in the 60s and 70s. The funny thing about living on purpose is that, you know, I'd never planned for the success. Like, people always say, like, Brandon, do you ever think you're going to be successful? I'm like, yeah, of course I did. You think I started this company to be a failure?
Right.
But if you think about it, you put all this energy into being really good at what you do, but you don't put any energy into the plan of what you're going to do after you're really good at it. What's the plan then? Like, you plan on going to college, you plan on getting your first job, you plan on having a family, things you're going to do with your family, but you don't plan on what's going to happen when you hit 50 and you've had a lot of success, you've made a lot of money. What's the plan then?
Yeah.
What's the plan spiritually, faith, family, fitness? And then, do you want to make more money? And what kind of money do you make and what you're going to do with it? And that's kind of what happened. Is I had made a lot of money. I thought this would be the end all. And I don't know, I wasn't that happy. And it wasn't clicking in for me. I don't think I was the dad I wanted to be. I was a pretty good dad, which I think my kids, I asked them to rate me on a scale of 1 to 10. I think it was like a 6 and a 7. I was like, shit. 6 or a 7. Like, I mean,
compared to what, though? Really?
I don't want to hear it, but you know, they were honest. Like, they were like, you know, dad, this, dad, that, you know, love you about this, don't love you. And then I think as a husband, I probably wasn't rated that much higher. And then I think my fitness, I didn't even know what faith was, to be honest with you. And I just started. I started a pod. I go into a bookstore. I say, who is the most popular book in here? And it was either somebody to lose weight, somebody who want to get close to God, or somebody had this rich, you know, get rich quick scheme. So I started interviewing people in those 3 themes and did pods around them. And then I got fully educated about health, sleep, fitness, nutrition, everything that I could do to be the best version of myself. And I wrote that book for people in their 40s so they could prepare because physically things are going to change, mentally things are going to change. Your kids are going to go to college, things are going to change with your wife, and you got to prepare for that. Or it's going to be a Mike Tyson left hook. And I hope that people read that book, because it first of all, my family hated me writing that book because I was extremely transparent. I didn't tell you what to do. I showed you what I did. I showed you what I really felt, what I was going through, and what I did to fix it. So I love that book. I mean, Living on Purpose, because it's not that the other books weren't honest, but it really did show you the good, the bad, and the ugly of where I was at, even though I made a lot of money.
I wonder though, I mean, even just talking to you for the last few minutes here, I gotta assume that that's how you've always been with your clients and with people. It's like it's kind of a no BS, but just here I am. I'm raw. I'm real. I'm not going to give you any platitudes. So although that might be a surprise or a pushback from your family, I would bet that most of your clients reading the book are like, "Yep, this is exactly what I expected from Brandon."
Hey, there's no reason to learn how to own your role on your own. If you like that clip, go ahead and click right here for another one. Or if you want to watch the entire podcast, go ahead and click right here. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.